Ay Archana oina, ay English ki ozani. Hello students, today we have a new lesson, lesson number 9, class 6 from your English course book. And the name of the lesson is The Way a Person Grows. So now in this lesson, lesson number 9, what are we going to learn? We are going to learn about, or we are going to discuss about a very famous person, a very famous leader of India. Now, who that is, that we will come later. Now let me first ask you a question. You all are aware of a particular person. If I ask you a question, you all will give me this answer if it was a classroom. Classroom where madena hangiba questions Now my question is, who was the first Prime Minister of India? You all know it. Who is it? It is Jawaharlal Nehru, or children fondly call him Chacha Nehru. Now, who succeeded Jawaharlal Nehru? Jawaharlal Nehru ki matungda kanana Prime Minister oirei. After the death of Jawaharlal Nehru, the second Prime Minister of India was Lal Bahadur Shastri. So today we are going to learn about how Lal Bahadur Shastri became the Prime Minister, the second Prime Minister of India, and what type of a leader was he? How did he grew up? That we are going to study in this lesson. That is why the name of the lesson is saying the way a person grows. From where did he belong? From which family did he come, and how did he come to become the second Prime Minister of India? How was he when he became a Prime Minister? That we will see in our lessons in very briefly. Tentakna pahakna kamay na kalay dagi haurei, karambay mung dagi haurei, kamay na Prime Minister oirei, Prime Minister oirakanda, what ma kamay to we have the adu yeng asiko lesson sida. Nehru died in 1964, 27th May. Please don't forget, Nehru died in 1964, 27th May. And just after the death of Jawaharlal Nehru, Lal Bahadur Shastri was chosen unanimously as the second Prime Minister of India. Unanimously means in full agreement. There was no one to go against the decision that he should not become the second Prime Minister. Everyone readily agreed with full agreement. In a meeting, in a discussion, Lal Bahadur Shastri was chosen the second Prime Minister of India, and he became, he took the charge of the Prime Minister on June 9th, 1964. Now let us see how Lal Bahadur Shastri grew up, when was he born, and what type of schooling did he get? Let us see. Now Lal Bahadur Shastri was born on 2nd October 1904. Now, the moment we hear 2nd October, what comes to your mind? With whom does he share his birthday? He shared his birthday with the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, October 2. The name of his father, or Lal Bahadur Shastri's father, was Sarada Prasad, and his mother was Ram Dulari Devi, and he was born in Mughal Sarai, a district in Uttar Pradesh. So, don't forget these points. Born on 2nd October and 1904, and Lal Bahadur Shastri's father's name was Sarada Prasad. Not Sarda, it is Sarada Prasad, and his mother was Ram Dulari Devi. Now, Lal Bahadur Shastri's father was a very poor school teacher, a poorly paid, a lowly paid school teacher, a simple school teacher, and not only that, he was the sole bread earner of the family. The only earning member in the family was Sarada Prasad, the father of Lal Bahadur Shastri. Now, Lal Bahadur Shastri was only 18 months old. 18 months. Thatarani pan khata sudangari. Chahi aniga sudri ko. Chahi ama kharhendangari ko. Chahi maga thataru. So Lal Bahadur Shastri was only 18 months old when his father, Sarada Prasad, died. And at that time, Ram Dulari Devi, mother of Lal Bahadur Shastri, was only 20 years old. Now, what was a 20-year-old girl, little girl, with Lal Bahadur Shastri? What was she supposed to do? She was a widow at the age of 20, and what was she supposed to do? in those days, women were not highly educated. Also, thainadi larik yang kanna tamnaramba matam sunate ko ngana like marriage took place in a very early age. So at the age of 20, she became a widow. What was she supposed to do with with Lal Bahadur Shastri under her care? How could she take care of her children? So what did she do? She came back to her house. And from that very day, Lal Bahadur Shastri was brought up by his maternal grandfather. Ram Dulari's father took up the responsibility of bringing up Lal Bahadur Shastri, of educating him, providing him with all the basic necessities, food, clothes, education, etc. So he was looked after by his maternal grandfather. So when we say maternal, we mean our mother's side. And when we say paternal, we mean our father's side. So grandfather, that is Lal Bahadur Shastri's grandfather, took great care of Shastri until he passed his 6th standard. Class 6 pauba yamna madhauzina nintizana education pyramid habani ko. So he took care of Shastri till he reached class 6, and then after class 6, Lal Bahadur Shastri was looked after by his maternal uncle, and since he had no father, since there was no one to take that much of care, what happened? He just continued his study under the guidance of his maternal uncle, and later he joined a high school in Banaras. Now, Shastri belonged to a very poor family. He was poor. He was not very rich. He was very poor. How poor was he? He survived with a single meal a day. A single meal a day. We all eat twice a day. We have meal twice a day. Not only twice, we have breakfast, we have lunch, we have supper, we have dinner, we have lots. We have in between also. But Lal Bahadur Shastri struggled to eat a single meal a day. So he was that poor, okay? So he struggled a lot, not only for food, but for education and other basic necessities also. But he bore all the pain quietly without any complaints. He faced many difficulties and hardships in life. On many occasions, he was so poor that what happened? On many occasions, he swam the half-mile width of the Ganges. Why? Because he had no money to pay the boatman. Once what happened, he was enjoying a fair with his friends, fair, Mela. And all his friends, they had a very nice time, they had a very good time, and it was time for them to go back home, and all his friends, they were going back home taking a ferry ride. Okay, they were going to go back home, they took a ferry, but Lal Bahadur Shastri stayed behind. Why did he stay behind? Because he had no money. He remained back, and then he said, you all go, I'll follow you. Then what happened? He still remembers this incident, and he wrote it in his books. He said, it was almost dark when I had to swim. It was dark, it was night, but gathering all the courage, he had to go back home. So he swam the river. Many were surprised. All the people were looking at him. Look, there is a small boy swimming in the river, and that also in this darkness. And all were looking at him, and he still remembered this incident when he was all grown up. So he had such courage. He was ready to, he did not complain. So he was a very, very simple, he was a very, very tolerant person. So such were his hardships. He struggled a lot because of poverty. He was very poor. And he had struggled a lot to receive all the education, but he came up all the way to become the 2nd Prime Minister of India. Now, as a person, as a student or as a child in his growing years, Lal Bahadur Shastri was very fond of reading books. He loved reading books, just like our first Prime Minister, Chacha Nehru. He loved reading books, and he read books even in prison. Why did he read books? Why did Lal Bahadur Shastri read books? Because by reading books, he believed that one develops our mind and spirit. Akoigi wakal, akoigi pukning thongna, loinamak develop tawba yaiba. So by reading books, we develop our mind and spirit. So he took part in the freedom struggle also, in our war of independence also, India's war of independence. Lal Bahadur Shastri also took active part. And when he was in jail, he read books of Karl Marx, Lenin, Bertolt Russell, Harold Lasky, Leo Tolstoy, and Aldous Huxley. So he read books, many books. Okay, so he was a very fond reader of books. A great man with high position, but very simple and honest. Witty, humorous, and humble. Such were the characters of Lal Bahadur Shastri. He was a very great man. He became don't forget, he went on to become the second Prime Minister of India. But he was very simple. How simple? We will see an example in the following incidences. Okay. He was not only simple, he was very honest. He was witty also, humorous also, and humble also. Now, what happened? He always had people comparing him with others. He was, often compared with others, and he hated them. He was very regular to his office also. He always came to time in his office also. And so, people used to, compare him, pass him comments, and he would always say, what was Lal Bahadur's reply? He would always reply saying, "They are the rulers and I am only a servant." This was a reply Lal Bahadur Shastri usually gave when people starts comparing him with his colleagues. Okay, mahak se my colleagues nga compare tawa matamda Lal Bahadur Shastri ne tatatan hai ko ma pamam de compare tawa mana kai hai, "They are rulers, I am a servant." Magi chambahi. Such was his simplicity. It was so simple that he never felt proud of his position. He never felt proud of what he was. Now, as we have mentioned in the beginning, that he shares his birthday with Gandhi ji, the father of the nation. So on one occasion, when Jawaharlal Nehru, asked him, I heard today is also your birthday. What reply did Lal Bahadur Shastri give? He said, "Today is not only my birthday, it is everyone's birthday." Why? Because it is the birthday of Gandhi ji, the father of the nation. So such are examples of the simplicity of Lal Bahadur Shastri. Lal Bahadur Shastri se kyam chamba mi ama no haiba matamda Jawaharlal Nehru na ngasi nangi birthday ni haina na tai hairoba matamda mahana kari khumai, "Ai ithandagi birthday na te ngasi di father of the nation Mahatma Gandhi gi birthday ni na mi pum khuding maki Indian citizen pumna maki India da leba nagri pumna maki birthday ni haidana khumle." So masina kari tai mahaki chambagi mahaki kayamu yamna nolukpa ko mi bu kayamu yamna mana mingonda kari haigadagi haibase kayamu yam nolukpa mi ama no haibadugi example ni siniko. And when he was the Minister of Railways, he visited Mumbai. This is Bombay. Now we call it Mumbai. So this is one very funny incident, but look at the behavior, the attitude of Lal Bahadur Shastri. So when he was the Minister of Railways, he visited Mumbai, and there after, going some rounds and after going some official trips, he called for some stenographers because he wanted to meet them and he wanted to deliver something. So he called for some stenographers. The stenographers came. They came to meet the minister. When they entered the minister's room, they saw a very small man standing there. A small man, neatly dressed, cleanly dressed, but simply dressed. So what did the stenographers do? They asked a small man, they told him, "Go and tell your minister that the stenographers have come." They told that small man that you please inform the minister that the stenographers have come. At that moment, the small man did not say anything. He offered them seat, and then he went inside a room. Now, when the stenographers were called for, they were asked to come inside the room. The stenographers knocked the door and entered the room. What did they say? They saw that the small man was sitting in the chair, and that small man was none other than Lal Bahadur Shastri. The moment they saw that Lal Bahadur Shastri was the man they met outside the room, they all were so, they were surprised and embarrassed. Ikaiba. Embarrassed means they felt shy. Ikaireba at that incident. They did not recognize Lal Bahadur Shastri, and like if it was any other person, that Lal Bahadur Shastri might have responded back that, don't you know I am the minister? But he did not do that. Instead, he went inside the room and very politely he called for the stenographers, and when the stenographers entered the room, they saw Lal Bahadur Shastri and they felt very shy, ashamed of themselves. But Lal Bahadur Shastri smiled and calmed them, comforted them with kind words and with not using any harsh words. Makoina changa akanda Lal Bahadur Shastri do phamaga leibadu ubada apikpa mido chokri da phamami ba apikpa mido Lal Bahadur Shastri ne khangakpada ikaibana makoi mamai thampam leikide. Lal Bahadur Shastri na makoi bu chaibagi mahutta nithizaraba phazaraba wahai na makoi bu themdabirami ikaiba phaholamte. So this is Lal Bahadur Shastri, a perfect example of modesty. There was no pride and arrogance in his nature, in his character. He was so simple. Sini napan yaudaba mi buhandhana yengdaba mi amagi example ni Lal Bahadur Shastri se. Now he will be remembered by generations to come. We still remember him as a very, very, very simple, very humble person. We will remember him forever. And we should also learn to be like Lal Bahadur Shastri. This is what the lesson is trying to tell you. This is what the lesson is trying to, convey to you, that Lal Bahadur Shastri, a man who went on to become the second Prime Minister of India with such high post, he did not change his nature, he did not change his character. He remained as he was, a very simple, sincere, and very kind person, and he led a very simple life without any pride and vanity. And this is what the lesson is trying to tell us, that we have to be able to bear and face all the obstacles of life. He had faced many hardships in life, but Lal Bahadur Shastri came out of it and led the country, led this big country, our country, India. So likewise, let us all be patient, let us all be truthful, let us all be honest, and let us all lead a simple life without pride and arrogance, so that one day we all can succeed in our life.